What's going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. We're going to start over in Marvel. We have Spider-Man versus Predator, or Predator versus Spider-Man, rather, issue number 2 out this week. I liked issue number 1. It was very much like a red band kind of a book, but it doesn't have that banner on it. There's tons of gore in this book, obviously, since Predator's involved. We have a Peter Parker who's still working at the Daily Bugle. He's still taking pictures, still doing that kind of stuff. Predator has invaded secretively into the city right now, and he's leaving all these trophies everywhere. People are starting to get wind of this. There's different reports and everything. Parker's taking pictures. He's also investigating as Spider-Man as well. Some people think that he's involved at some point. It's a pretty cool story right there. There's also the introduction of Kraven the Hunter in the first issue. We explore a little bit more about that and his obsession with like this mysterious new hunter who's in town. Really cool dynamic between those two. I don't know if that kind of thing has been done before with Kraven and some other mysterious hunter, but that's probably the most compelling part of this. We do touch base with a few other characters as well, Mary Jane and whatnot, seeing what they're up to, what kind of trouble they might be in, but it's about to kick off in the next issue number 3 for sure. So definitely check out Predator versus Spider-Man if you just want to see that head-to-head battle, maybe between Kraven and a Predator with like Spider-Man jumping around at the same time. It might be pretty cool. Might want to check this one out. Let me know if you did down below. Speaking of Spider-Man, we have Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 17 on this one. Hickman's still on here. We have a guest artist kind of picking up from Kaketto a little bit there, probably giving him a little bit of a break between issues. So we had a huge revelation that I don't necessarily want to spoil, but it's going to be kind of difficult to talk about the book without doing it, but I'm going to do my best right here. We had a huge revelation about an alternative identity of one of the main characters inside of this universe and how they're also manipulating the field, right? Playing to different people, trying to influence the world, using magical elements to do so. So we're expanding on that a little bit more, seeing what that reach really is. And I think it's really compelling to see this character kind of shine because it's a character that I'm not super familiar with. And I'd like to see this power being used. This character's using this like magical ability rather to infiltrate and influence everyone around her. Really, really cool stuff. So we also have a lot of Harry going around trying to reconcile some past issues with his dad using the suit and like the memories that are stored inside of there. Doc Ock certainly plays a role in here in a really cool way. He's kind of like their tech guy that's been locked in the basement and trying to provide them with some tools to take on whatever threats they might have coming. Cool team up in here as well. We have a difference in motives, kind of. We have Harry playing as the Goblin role, and he's learned a lot over the last several issues, being a little bit more humane. He just went through a big trauma, getting over all of that. But the person he's teaming up with is a little bit more ruthless than he thought. And that's a really cool dynamic to explore in future issues, too. So I like how the evolution of the villains is happening inside this book. It's not obvious. We only got introduced to this character really in the last issue, and it's kind of taking the main stage as the villain right now until the Maker comes. Really, really cool book right there. Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 17. Love the artwork in this issue too. It was a break from the norm. Still really solid. Let me know if you read it. Next up from Marvel is Daredevil Cold Day in Hell issue number 2. I am so upset that there's only 3 issues in this series. It feels like we're just now ramping up, and I can't imagine it wrapping up everything in just a single issue. It's trying to, but there's just so much more you could tell in the story in this universe. I feel like 3 issues is a shame, to be honest with you, for this. It needs at least 5, I would say. This book picks right back up with Daredevil being re-imbued with his powers he hasn't had in quite some time. He gets reintroduced to some of the chemical that initially imbued him with the power. And we're also going around trying to seek revenge on the death of Captain America in the first issue and, trying to find this mysterious girl that he was protecting. Now Daredevil has to protect her. Who's abducted her? What's their motivation? What is going on? We get a little hint of that inside of this issue, but there's still a lot of mystery behind the ultimate motives, I guess, inside of here. The Bullseye main villain character is ruthless. He is insane inside the book, and I really like how brutal he is in here, holding captive some of our fan favorite characters and doing what he wants to do with them for his own means. Brutal book. There are a couple huge parts in this book. One happens at the very end. I'll let you guys figure that out, but it introduces another character into the story. It's a character that's a longtime favorite inside the Daredevil universe. Well received, I think, and it's really cool to see this character, especially drawn. Steve McNiven has a good way of drawing the characters, but there's a lot of cool homages, I think, inside the book scattered around. What I really, really enjoyed, just the artistic approach of this. The storytelling is compelling. I just really enjoy everything that's happening inside of Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. It's a travesty travesty that we only have 3 issues of this. Issue number 2 is out. Let me know if you read it. All right, let's go over to DC next. We have Absolute Martian Manhunter issue number 3, Dennis Camp. We have Javier Rodriguez, and we have an Ian Bertram cover of the week, cover of the month, of the year, maybe, right here. It is so, so nice. Absolute Martian Manhunter has been spectacular since the very first issue. A lot of you guys are reaching out in the comments saying it's your favorite book out right now, and I totally agree. It is definitely in the conversation for best books of the year, and we're only 3 issues in, which is incredible. We are learning a little bit more about the symbiotic relationship between the 2 characters. We're learning a little bit more about our villains too, how he's influencing other people, maybe the motivation or the rationale behind all of its actions, like the White Martian. We get introduced to that character in the previous issue. We don't really see the character in this issue, but we see the influence that it has around the town, right? And maybe, again, like some of the motivation behind why it's doing what it's doing. It's a being beyond time and space and distance, and it's coming here for kind of like a spiteful reason, and it's wrecking shop right now. And we unpack a lot of that. The family moments inside of here are hard to read. They're desperate, they're distant, and just when you think something's going to click and maybe some people are going to actually start having conversations, our character gets pulled away into some tragedy that's happening across town. The visuals are mind-blowing inside this book. The colors and everything, it's very visual, it's very trippy, it's bright when it has to, and it's just handled so well. It's really a masterpiece, honestly. So definitely check out Absolute Martian Manhunter. It's trippy, it's weird, it's different. It's what it's supposed to be, guys. So if you haven't tried this one yet, highly recommend it. Let me know if you did. Keeping with the Absolute Universe, Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 8 is out as well. Now we're out of Hades' realm right now. We're back over on Earth. We're going to see some familiar characters from the previous arc showing back up in here. The motives of Diana in this particular issue, not super clear, I would say, but she's trying to reorient herself, reground herself, call upon the gods to imbue her with some kind of energy or power, or just the ability to take on whatever threats are coming. A lot of great little moments in this book too. Again, we're touching base with some of the hero characters, or the human characters rather, that we saw in the first arc, and they're along for the ride inside of this one. We get introduced to a new villain. It might be a villain, or it might be somebody who's just being, a villain type that's being held captive against their will to perform certain duties or actions for some other team. We're going to be unpacking that a little bit more, but we get a cool showcase of like what this villain is able to do and the tools at their disposal and how Diana is going to combat all that. We're going to be unpacking that obviously in future issues. So I'm really engaged on this series just in general. It's a real great character study on Diana and how her core elements still exist despite her changes in her upbringing. Again, it nails the Absolute Universe job, I would say, inside the book. It's one of my favorite ones out there. Let me know if you read it. All right, let's go over to the Energon universe. Starting over with G.I. Joe from Joshua Williamson, we have issue number 7 right here. I got the Beachhead die cut right there, which is actually a mistake because it's so hard to read this book because it constantly hits that thing and it wants to shut. So I probably won't be doing that going forward, but it is a cool visual nonetheless. Like I said, if you're a Beachhead fan, you're going to really enjoy this issue because that's all you get inside of here. He's on this one mission right now trying to extract this artifact. He doesn't exactly know what it is. It's in crate number 47, this rich dude's house that has really well-equipped guards around it. So it's an infiltration issue, right? He's trying to get to that objective, trying to find it, has a lot of issues with that, meets up with some other shady characters that are working secretly, right? And they don't exactly play by the rules, but all that Beachhead is worried about is like, I don't want to be a drill instructor and I can't mess this mission up, things like that. A little bit eye-rolly, I would say, as I was going through this, but there's lots of action in here, so it is still a cool issue. We get to see exactly what the thing was that he's trying to steal from this old dude, and again, we get introduced to a few other characters inside of the Joe universe, and maybe, the role they're going to play in the future is unpacked here a little bit as well. I would say that this Joe issue is a little bit weaker than most of them, but I still had a good time with it. Issue number 7's out. What'd you guys think? Continuing the Energon universe, Void Rivals issue number 19. Robert Kirkman on this one as well. Connor Hughes on the art duties. So a little bit of a change there. But if you're a fan of Suxoid, you are going to love this issue here. It is all about that character. Finding some of the Autobots that have unique voice traits. It's kind of like a Bumblebee from the Bumblebee movie, kind of can only speak in radio. These ones can only speak in TV. So there's a lot of TV references, things like that. I didn't know a lot of stuff about Suxoid that I learned a lot about him rather inside of this issue about how it's basically a clone and things like that. And there's an alpha and, there's different aged ones and things like that. So it kind of unpacks a lot of that. A lot of mysterious little bounty hunters show up as well and, kind of wreck shop here and there. So it was kind of a step to the side a little bit on this whole story. story in a way, just, featuring one specific character and some of the ancillary characters around them. And yeah, I mean, it was an entertaining book, but it didn't really push the story of Void Rivals further, I would say. It's really focused on one character, a little bit of a character study. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at the end of this or what comes from this, because there's a cool reveal at the very end of this issue that might amount to something in the near future. Can't wait for that one. Let me know what you guys thought about Void Rivals. All right, continuing Image, we have the Power Fantasy issue number 9. One of the best books out right now. This book does such a great job of introducing you to like a superhero kind of a story. Half these people are gods. They all have to manipulate the playing field however they can to prevent worldwide destruction of everything, right? There's a lot of backstabbing, a lot of betrayal, a lot of I'll let you get away with this for now kind of behavior inside of here. And there's so many players in this book that could actually dominate and destroy the world, that all those conversations, those considerations, those relationships that they have with each other are so delicate, because if there's any kind of imbalance whatsoever, things could go south really quick for the other side. So everyone's kind of tiptoeing around each other at this moment. It does touch base with a few other characters, learning a little bit more about their relationship with each other and some of the past events that they went through or things that they've done, right? They're trying to reconcile with. Eliza was featured in the previous issue, who's kind of this girl who kind of gave up her own salvation, her own humanity to obtain demonic power to take on the threat that was at hand at the moment, because that was going to take over the world and kill everyone that she loves. That particular player right there is bouncing back and forth on both sides right now, trying to be recruited from both sides for obvious reasons, her power just in general. And so this is the story of her going to the pyramid and talking to Magus and trying to understand like his point of view and his perspective versus Valentina's in the previous issue. And it's just incredible. I really like everything going on inside this book. It's delicate, it's precise, it's got you tiptoeing around, man, because at any moment things are going to go to hell. And there's a big revelation at the end of this that kind of makes maybe her sacrifice not exactly worth it, so to speak. We're going to be unpacking that obviously in the future issues, and I cannot wait for it. But there are so many cool, delicate moments in this book that are engaging. They're fun. They just add a lot of context to it as well. It's a great, great, great story. If you guys are not reading this, you have to be reading this one. Read the first 3 issues or so, just back to back to back. You'll be hooked instantly on this one. The artwork is incredible as well. Casper Wingard doing the work of his life, I think, inside this book. Let me know if you read it. We're taking everyone down with us, issue number 3. This book is becoming one of my favorite books on the shelf right now in an already stacked week. There's so many books out there that are incredible. This one is fighting for one of those top spots as well, I would say. So we have Rosenberg and Landini on this one. We have Wordy and Haas on the lettering. If you haven't been reading this one, basically it's this like satirical landscape where you have all these different factions across the world running their own pockets, but they have a cabal essentially, and they run everything. One of them kind of goes rogue or whatever. He's a mad scientist kind of a character. He has a daughter. He's messing around with some new technology, and he gets taken out inside this book. He also has this legion of robots around him protecting his daughter, and we learn a little bit more about what exactly is going on around that. I don't want to spoil it, but there's so many cool eccentric characters. It has a heavy layer of satire on top of this. Incredible artwork, I would say, and really compelling characters. Like, you really want this girl to succeed. You learn a little bit more about his daughter inside this book and some of the other key players around him. Why would they want her father killed? What was he up to exactly? We get little hints of that inside this book, and it's explained to you in a very careful way. It's not like exposition heavy. We just kind of work through it naturally through conversation and everything. And I think they're just doing the storytelling and the pacing just perfectly well inside this book. So I will say, if you didn't read issue number 1 and 2, if you kind of skipped this one because it was another long titled weird book or whatever, definitely check this one out. It's got to be a sleeper hit, guys. This is one of my favorite books. It's climbing the ladder very, very quickly. Issue number 3 is out. Let me know if you read it. Let's go over to Ghost Machine next with Hyde Street issue number 6. Jeff Johns on this one. We have a guest artist, I think, on this one. We have Portela on the art, Brad Anderson on the colors, and we have Rob Lay back on this one as well. So if you really liked the book Devour, which features this woman who's selling basically this parasite in a bottle that can like strip the weight away from you and things like that, it's featuring her. It's featuring Pranky and Mr. X-Ray. So Pranky, as you would imagine, he is the prankster, like Boy Scout inside this story. He is preventing this lady from from transcending out of Hyde Street. We covered that in a couple of issues ago, but now we get to see exactly like what her kryptonite is and what Pranky's plan is to kind of keep her in place, just to mess with her because he's a jerk, right? So we get a lot of that inside of here. We also see Mr. X-Ray taking on his next deal right here, trying to rack up some of those kills. And he does so in a very interesting way. It also has some kind of like social commentary over it, mob mentality, things like that. What happens when, the mob gets together and takes on a common threat? We see what happens inside of this book right here. So there's a little bit of social commentary inside this book. There's a little bit of just Pranky being a jerk in here as well. He obtains a new artifact, whatever his heart desires, right? That's what the point of Devour was. And we're going to get a cool crossover with a monster we saw previously in the upcoming issues. And that's got me really, really excited. So Hyde Street, killing it again. Another great issue, maybe a little bit weaker than the previous ones, but it's setting up some cool things that I'm looking forward to. Let me know if you read it. All right, we're going to end on a high note here. Assorted Crisis Events, issue number 3, Dennis Camp on this one as well. So issue number 1 was spectacular, right? It took a couple of reads to really kind of get all the nuances to it, but we understood the world pretty quickly. It's going to take a few more issues to understand the entire universe in general. In Ice Cream Man, you had this sense that you had this evil force manipulating everything. We have the same kind of vibe inside of here, but like it's the world itself with different realities and how it works. And every issue, it happens a little bit differently, right? Like what is going on in that world is a little bit different. This one here in issue number 3 is basically we have Earth 1 and Earth 2 essentially. Earth 2 goes to hell. Earth 1 is more of an ideal state. What happens when a lot of those people from Earth 2 get transported to Earth 1? You have doppelgangers all over the place. You have families that grew up very much in the same kind of a way, but one is grief-stricken. Maybe they lost loved ones. They've lived in poverty. They lived in chaos and fear their whole life. And now they're trying to assimilate these two different groups together, and they do so in a really creative way. So like the one page here would be the ideal world, world A. The second page would be the exact same kind of format and paneling and whatnot, but you see how different the worlds are. And, it is social commentary about immigration and allowing your people to come in and assimilate with you, but it also has to deal with like the problems associated with that. So it's not preachy from either side necessarily. Like it's pretty clear like that conversation's happening inside this book, but you have this element, this like fantastical element layered on top. So it doesn't feel preachy. It doesn't feel like it's coming from one side or another. It acknowledges that that it's just a hard thing to figure out, right? There's going to be problems on both sides. One place is not going to want people coming in. The other place is going to want to come in and feel like it's unfair that they can't get the same kind of treatment, but they're also going to have their own biases and problems and issues that they're bringing, right? So like, it doesn't feel like it's preachy at all. It handles it in a very constructive way, I would say. And I think it just does a really great job of explaining how difficult the whole situation is in general. It doesn't offer a solution in here either. It doesn't just say, elect the right people or do the right things or whatever. It just kind of lets you sit in that uneasy moment. And that's exactly what this book does a lot of, and especially inside of issue number 2. It just puts you in this weird situation. It acknowledges all these sides of it and then just lets you sit there for a while. And it's uneasy. That's exactly what the point of this book is, I think. Assorted Crisis Events number 3 definitely opens up your eyes. It gives you all kinds of perspective. It doesn't give you answers. It just lets you stew in that uneasiness. And that's what I wanted from this book, man. It nailed it. Let me know what you guys thought. All right, guys, that's everything I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the comments.